Safety and health on the outer continental shelf. Today we'll be going over safety on the outer continental shelf and the purpose. This regulation promotes health and safety of all personnel working offshore, applies to all operations and facilities on the outer continental shelf, sets minimum safety and health standards for PPE, workplace practices, and hazard control. Relationship to other laws. 33 CFR Part 142 does not replace or override other federal, states, or local safety laws. It adds specific safety rules for working on the outer continental shelf. You are expected to comply with all applicable laws in addition to OCF safety regulations. 33 CFR Part 142 enhances, not replaces, your legal protections. Reporting unsafe conditions. Why does reporting unsafe conditions matter? External safety standards incorporated by reference 142.7 are enforceable. Violations of these standards like improper PPE, blocked exits, or fire safety issues are reportable safety concerns. Your responsibility. You have the right and duty to report missing or defective safety equipment, non-compliant fire protection systems, PPE that does not meet ANSI standards. How to report. Notify your supervisor or safety officer. Complete a safety observation report form, or report anonymously if needed through company channels or directly to the Coast Guard. Lockout tagout procedures. What is lockout tagout? Lockout tagout is the practice of isolating and securing energy sources to prevent accidental startup of machinery during maintenance or repair. Under 142.9, the person in charge must enforce lockout tagout procedures across all operations, ensure only authorized personnel apply remove locks and tags, provide proper lockout tagout equipment such as locks, tags, and signage, verify equipment is de-energized and secured before work begins, investigate and act on lockout tagout violations or failures. Some common offshore lockout tagout situations are electrical panel maintenance, valve isolation of pressurized systems, work on rotating machinery or hydraulics. Personal protective equipment, or as known as PPE, requirements. Each employer must ensure that PPE is provided and used by all personnel as required by this part and incorporate safety standards. Employer responsibilities are as follows: provide appropriate PPE for identified hazards, ensure PPE is properly fitted, maintained in good condition, used correctly by all workers, train employees on when PPE is required, how to wear and care for it, and PPE limitations. Some examples of PPE categories are head protection, eye and face protection, hand protection, foot protection, and respiratory protection. Eye and face protection requirements. Eye and face protection must be worn when personnel are exposed to eye or face injury from flying particles, molten metal, liquid chemicals, acids or caustic chemical gases or vapors, or potentially injurious light radiation. When is eye and face protection required? When operations such as grinding, cutting, or chipping operations, welding, brazing, or soldering, handling corrosive chemicals, exposure to molten materials or high heat, areas with airborne dust, gas, or vapors. PPE standards include, but not limited to, safety glasses with side shields, chemical splash goggles, and face shields. Head protection requirements. When is head protection required? When workers are under scaffolding, cranes, or elevated work areas, during overhead maintenance, lifting, or rigging operations, around exposed electrical components, in storage areas with stacked materials or shifting loads. Worker responsibilities. Inspect helmets daily for cracks, dents, or damage. Do not modify or drill holes into helmets. Replace helmets after significant impact or when expired. Check the date code. Foot protection. When foot protection is required, on deck during cargo loading, unloading, around forklifts, hoists, or moving equipment, while handling pipe, tools, or heavy gear in maintenance shops or mechanical spaces. Crew safety reminders are as follows: no soft toe or casual footwear on deck, tuck in laces to avoid tripping hazards, replace damaged boots immediately. Respiratory protection. Where respiratory protection is required, if personnel are exposed to harmful dust, fumes, vapors, insufficient oxygen, must be used when engineering or administrative controls are not sufficient. Training requirements: users must be trained on when and how to use respirators, maintaining storage, recognizing respirator limitations and emergencies. When is fall protection required? Working at heights without guardrails, over open water and near edge of decks and platforms, performing maintenance aloft or in rigging, during crane operations or in personnel baskets. Key responsibilities such as supervisors must ensure proper use and training, workers must inspect gear before use, know how to self-rescue or call for help, never bypass fall protection for quick jobs. Personal flotation devices, or as known as PFDs. When are PFDs required? When workers are working near the edge of open decks or platforms, boarding or disembarking from personnel transfer baskets or boats, conducting tasks over water, such as loading or unloading equipment, during emergency drills, abandoned ship drills, or man overboard situations. Some PFD requirements: must be approved by the U.S. Coast Guard, must be in good condition, properly fitted and readily accessible, and not locked away. And also, inflatable PFDs must be inspected before each use. Eye wash stations. Emergency eye and emergency eye protection. When eye wash stations are required are working with corrosive or caustic chemicals, perform cleaning with strong detergents or solvents, handling fuels, acids, or other hazardous liquids, near battery charging stations or paint mixing areas. Some worker responsibilities are know where the nearest eye wash station is at all times, flush eyes immediately for at least 15 minutes if exposed, report malfunctioning or obstructed stations immediately. Ventilation systems and safety. Why is ventilation critical? Ventilation prevents the accumulation of flammable vapors such as gasoline fumes. It also reduces the risk of fire explosion in enclosed spaces. Keep the air breathable in confined spaces or below decks. Some required ventilation systems are as follows: natural or powered exhaust for enclosed compartments, intake ducts, blowers. Some crew responsibilities are always run blowers before engine startup, perform sniff tests in fuel compartments, report any fuel smells, blocked vents, or non-working blowers immediately, never operate the vessel if ventilation is compromised. Marine sanitation devices, or as known as MSDs. Some key requirements are: vessels must use Type 1, Type 2, or Type 3 MSDs. Types 1 and 2 treat sewage to specific standards before discharge. Type 3 hold sewage for pump out, no discharge, and these devices must be U.S. Coast Guard certified. Noise level surveys. Employers must conduct initial noise level surveys during design commissioning. Survey must measure sound level pressures in all working living spaces, identify areas requiring hearing protection, be documented and retained. Employee protection. Employers must provide hearing protection for high noise areas greater than or equal to 85 decibels. Areas must be clearly marked with warning signs. Employers must provide training, hearing conservation programs, proper use of PPE, like earplugs and muffs. Some key takeaways with noise levels: always wear hearing protection in marked areas, report changes in equipment or layout that may impact noise levels, participate in periodic training and hearing tests. Fire protection systems. The purpose of fire protection systems: protect personnel, environment, and assets from fire hazards, ensure rapid detection, suppression, and control of onboard fires, System requirements must include fixed fire extinguishing systems such as CO2, foam, water mist, fire detection and alarm systems, portable fire extinguishers strategically located. These systems must be approved by the U.S. Coast Guard and installed per the manufacturer's specs and regulations. Some common coverage areas are as follows: machinery spaces, accommodation spaces, cargo handling areas, and helicopter decks. Welding and hot work. Any open flame spark producing or heat generating tasks such as welding, cutting, brazing, grinding. Permit requires hot work permit must be issued before starting any operation. Permit includes description of the job, fire watch assignment, PPE, and equipment checks. Time limits and job area. Safety precautions. Area must be clear of flammable materials. Fire watch must be present during the work, and proper ventilation, gas testing, and protective barriers are required.